Hello, all you out there SDL fans. It's your little cog champ Gearchief here, and with me is the only fish in the sea for me, KingFsher. How you doing?
Doing pretty good. Excited to get in here casting another. Got a lot of unstoppable games out of the way the other day, so looking forward to seeing some Immortal action for sure.
For sure. The one thing I've seen when I've looked over all these Immortal games too is this whole, I believe it's very even with the games won and points earned. So, like watching back at that, it just any of these teams at any point could really take the top spot. And then when it starts coming down to playoffs too, it's anyone's game. So I'm really excited to see what we got here with Wild Inferno versus Flourish for our Immortal game. It's always exciting. Seen a couple familiar names. POWAAAAHHH is definitely a familiar one. POSTDRAMA too, and I believe Rushology as well. A whole bunch of new people here too. Anything you see that you recognize, Fisher?
I think I pretty much recognize everybody except for Azteck, really. I mean, a lot of these players did come back from past seasons of the SDL, whether it's Season 1 or Season 2, so certainly familiar with a lot of the names on these rosters, and I really like the two that you highlighted. POWAAAAHHH against Post-Drama, for me, two very, very kind of well-known members around the league, so certainly going to be looking for those two to kind of impact their team any way they're able to.
For sure. And now we got these bands coming out. And the very respectable, like, semi-rare Freya band coming out. If you know someone on their team who can really utilize Freya, it's always safe to just choose that. She can just run away with games. I don't know how many times you've played against a Freya, and if you don't sit there and just sit her down and immediately just sit on her, then she just runs away the game. All of a sudden she appears in lane, especially if you're like the solo or jungle and you meet her for the first time. It's a magic act. You just disappear. She whoops you into the sky, and then all of a sudden you're in grayscale out of nowhere. The Shiva, though, I gotta say, is also another unexpected ban. Have in those unstoppable games, I think as you've seen, have you seen Shiva really run away with some games, or do you think this is a bit more of a uh like a target ban?
Well, having played against PeeWee before, I can say this is absolutely a target ban. Very, very good on that Shiva. Shiva also just a pretty good warrior right now in the meta, so it's a good ban. But yeah, you do not want that on Flourish's side. Can do absolutely anything with a god. Certainly a target ban there. But they've left a lot up in the air. A lot of gods we're really used to seeing banned out top. I mean, Martikarus, Thor, Ravana, so many good picks still on the board.
Yeah, you also forgot about Yorm too. We might see him in the solo lane, so I'm kind of excited. I'm excited to see it because we've only seen him so many times. Because if they ever go through, the games are usually really quick, and then they're banned the next game. So anytime you see those opportunities rise up, it's always good to see it. But we get, like you said, we got the Thor coming out here. You can't really, in this Bruiser meta, you can't really pass up on that Thor. That semi global ultimate that he's got, where you might hear the hovering, the whoosh, 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 whoosh of his hammer, and then as soon that's the minute you realize you're just kind of dead, right? You're like, you sit there like, he's in the air, isn't he? And you're just scattering, don't all get stunned. And then we got a Ravana coming out. I'm actually excited to see because I love watching Ravana in coming out and seeing played in solo lane. And I think if they're gonna ban out Shiva instead of Ravana, it might be a problem. And then we got Rama. Oh, I love seeing two enemies come together. You know, it's just so fun, fun lore story going there.
Always nice to see a Rama as well. Not really used to seeing them selected in that top three wave of bands, especially when something like we highlighted, like the Martikarus, the kind of more meta picks, like the Ishtar now being hovered by Wild Inferno, are still up. Rama, though, very good character. DRkILlxJOY, good ADC as well. Now that the ADC matchup is locked in, do you think these teams are going to go maybe support here in the third slot, or are they going to kind of save it and address another point of need?
I think we might see a jungle pick coming out with Bakasura still up, right? So yeah, I see your confusion with that Cupid too. And I'm thinking maybe that might be Cupid mid, but the only thing I can think of, or they're just hovering for a troll. But I think jungle's gonna come out here because Bakasura's up, right? And the power he gives early to just like invade camps is huge. So I think you always got to respect the Bakasura when you kind of have that opportunity. I am surprised by the Nike though. I know she's doing pretty good with Bruiser meta. and her ultimate, but I just feel like Yorm's up, Sunwoo isn't. KA, I guess, but Nike's never a bad choice. But I think there's definitely some other higher priority characters I might want to see picked. But if Aztec's really solid in that Nike, they could do a lot of damage. So that's definitely something you got to watch out for, especially with that shield.
Nike as well, very, very safe warrior, and looking over there on the side of Flourish, it feels like we see Ravana go towards the solo lane almost more times than we see it in the jungle, so maybe just preparing for having to face a Ravana solo. Never something you want to do, but it's going to be an Athena lock-in, another support that's kind of been rising in the ranks lately. We're seeing a lot more Athena play. I don't know how, I personally don't like the god, so I can't say I'm excited to see it.
Really?
But I don't. But it's a very good support pick. PostDRAMA, a very good support as well. It's certainly going to work out here for Flourish.
I gotta say, I love Athena. When I jungle as her because if you can just sit there and you get that spirit before you hate me, you get Spirit Deso, right? And then you get Poly, so your passive hits hard, and then you just become a walking powerhouse. So you're killing people constantly, and then you're teleporting all over the map. You have any idea how cool it is to Defender of Olympus onto dual lane, get 2 kills there, and all of a sudden you're half down, then you help the soul laner a little bit. If you can really get those Spirit Deso procs going, you're all over the map anywhere at any time. So that's something I like. But I feel as a support, she's always a viable pick. The Guardian of or Defender of Olympus, she can be anywhere. The taunt lasts forever and displaces enemies. Got solid damage on top with her shield wall, and the dash is just a great way to get away. So I think all around, she's always just a great pick to pick up, even if she's not meta and there's other metas. But for a rest, we're gonna round out our bans with a Nox, which I guess that probably avoiding a Nox support. Agni always solid to take out, a lot of AoE and control there. And then on the side of Wild Inferno, we got Daji. And we got Tiamat. I'm curious what they're nervous about the Daji. They seem to have a couple of CC immune ultimates, or at least abilities, so maybe... I don't think the POWAAAAAHHHH was anything to worry about. Maybe it was just the raw damage coming out.
Tremble beneath the waves!
Probably be a target ban as well, Daji. Again, like you mentioned, stuff like the Bakasura is still up. Both teams already have somebody that could function as a jungler. Maybe just a little bit more scared of what might happen. The pick we haven't seen in a while. I think one of the first times a god has just hit comp and it's not overplayed immediately. It's going to be the E-Shell here for Flourish. Going against a Discordia, who's a mage we've seen a lot of lately. I'm really excited to see what the goddess, the Rainbows can do. That's it, right?
Rainbows,
it's something.
Growth, it's something about growth or prosperity, yeah. Fertility, maybe? I'm not 100% something in that range. But how many times have you seen her played? I can't really... I don't think
I mean, I've seen her like once or twice. I've yet to see her really pop off, though.
Yeah, like I can't count on one hand how many times because I have more fingers than there are times I've seen it. So
wait, okay, but wouldn't that mean you can count it on one hand?
No, you can't because I have too many fingers. So all right, if I've seen her no times, I can't count on no because I got 5 fingers on this one hand.
Let's hold up no fingers. But whatever.
No, I got 5 of them. I gotta have at least one, right?
That's neither here nor there, but it's going to be a Susano lock-in to round out Flourish's team comp, which means we are going to see Ravana in the solo lane, unless PeeWee does choose to use the Summer Storm God there, but I wouldn't count on it. I think, given these two assassins, certainly more suited Susano is towards the jungle.
I mean, the one thing you gotta worry about Susano, too, is his ability to just invade your tower. So, between, like, blink, cloud, all of a sudden he's in there, and then he drops everything on you. The ult, the siphon, 2 things of the Storkana, and then the third one's the dash, and he gets out, maybe taking 2 tower shots at most. So even when you think you're safe underneath your tower, he's just gonna get in there, dump the damage on you, and then get out scot-free. So that's something you always got to worry about in the Susano. We're similar to Loki, right? Where you don't know where he is, but he can be on you in an instant. So Loki, you got to worry about the invisibility, but Susano's mobility and ability to close gaps is something you have to constantly consider, no matter where you are. So we're actually going to see how well they can manage that in-game, and we're going to meet you there. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Battlegrounds. I'm Gearchief, and with me I got KingFsher. Let's get into the bloodshed.
And I'd expect there to be a lot of it, especially when you look on that Flourish side. Looking at that team comp, it is just W key, W key, W key. I mean, Athena, Susanna, Ravana, all three kind of the top characters in your mind when you think of people that can just absolutely run down kills. But Inferno gonna need to have a really clean early game in order to make it late. And already in the mid lane, we're gonna see how this Thor and Susanna are able to impact it. Scizzy dropping very low.
Yeah, and like you said, with that W keying stuff, that's really the play style of this team, and I think the one they're going to have to be careful about, is making sure they're utilizing their team comp best. I think if Wild Inferno can really kind of hold out and just play it a bit safer and draw out these interactions, then I think Wild Inferno will end up winning. If they can keep like SpurMan, Rushology a bit farther back and not able to do what they want and keep these engagements going long, then I think they might have a problem. But Rushology dropping low, a big stun coming out from POWAAAAHHHH, almost picking up the first blood in response to almost being first blooded for his mid laner being first blooded. But we're not gonna really see it here, and they're gonna back away to safer time. So Fisher, what do you want to see coming out of this teams? Do you want to see Wild Inferno be more aggressive and try to out-aggress Flourish, or do you want to see them just kind of take it a bit slower, knowing that they got like that sustain coming up from the Emoja and just trying to do poke damage rather than jump into a fight?
I'd say it's probably going to be a little bit of a balance, because just looking at that Flourish team comp, there's no way they're going to out-aggression them. It's just not going to happen, as PostDRAMA looking for top going to get messed out before they can do anything. The one thing they could do really wrong is if they kind of let Flourish walk all over them, if they let them invade jungle camps. They certainly can't do that, but it's going to have to be a balance. You overstep against this team comp, you are going to get punished for it. And so many of them can just get away, not easily, but pretty safely. Mystic Rush out, Defender of Olympus. Flourish team comps really avoid them a lot of versatility here. Rushology and POWAAAAHHHH dueling it out yet again, but both junglers just going to disengage safely.
When talking about aggression, right, doesn't necessarily need to be non-aggression. Aggression doesn't need to mean passivism. So you still have to try to defend your buffs, maybe be a little more aggressive in the jungle too, just try to take their buffs when the opportunity arises. But it's more towards team fights, right? Like you want to try to get Flourish to bait all his ultimates. If you can survive the Typhoon and then have Ravana get himself in a bad position with the Mystic Rush, that's where I think Wild Inferno really wants to kind of take advantage of it and let that slow burn work. Keep him alive until all the abilities are gone. You know what I'm saying?
It's going to be a balance for sure. It's a very narrow window of opportunity, but there's always going to be one if these teams are good enough to look for it. Scizzy decides they do not need the red buff, going to go for the minions first. And I do like the buff timers now. They kind of just respawn when you're down. It gives you so much more freedom on when to stay and farm. I love it.
I love the extension they do too, because like we've seen a lot of crazy things coming out of this mid lane. Because I've seen some mid laners opt to pick up speed buff, and then when that pops, they just get the red buff on the tail end. So I think it's always fun, especially when you're kind of late to it. Your jungler's just sitting there AFK farming, and then you realize your buff's been down for 2 minutes. It's just always it's better than just kind of getting there right as it ends. PostDRAMA dashing in, gets a big taunt. Looking low, River's Rebuke comes out up into the air to try to get some damage out. Respective Ducks in a bad position, dodges the Typhoon with a jolt kickflip, does not get out of the way enough. We got Killjoy getting the first kill onto Duck, Realty getting the kill on an almond butter. Big time aggressive rotations we're seeing from Flourish. And let me just say, I gotta highlight that kickflip that Prospective Duck got to dodge the Typhoon. Because that was like chef's kiss right there.
Very well done. Unfortunately, not enough to save them from falling. One of the first two now, Flourish. And we don't see that too often. That was a 4-man rotate over there on the left-hand side of the map. I mean, especially the E-Shell leaving pre-5 minutes does not happen with mid laners a whole ton. Very surprising to see. And so Zabil going for the Book of Thoth instead of the Karen's coin, which I think most mid laners can kind of agree is the start that kind of feels the best. It has a great stat stick, but already the E-Shell gonna branch off of that.
Great stat stick, and when you start getting those stacks too, especially with an aggressive team, you might want to start kind of going for that, because if you're starting to look for those kills and you have characters that can facilitate those kills, you really kind of want to start stacking that early, right? So, but Book of Thoth is also like a better Like, it's a safer stacking item, you know what I mean? You don't have to sit there and risk too much, or rely on your teammates. POWAAAAHHHH looking for a gank out to try to help out Azteck, who's been kind of behind PeeWeSpurMan, who's taken advantage of that Ravana, and we see why Ravana is definitely consistently banned throughout Soul Lane.
Just so difficult to deal with on so many levels. It does a lot of damage, has innate shields built into the kit, CC immunity every, what is it, like 10 seconds? CC and damage just
I think it's more like
don't
16,
matter.
but yeah.
Well, I mean, 16-10, close enough. Pretty much the same
Yeah.
thing. But now PostDRAMA looking for a gank. Taunt not gonna land onto Perspective Duck. Didn't need the flip, but just the dash away there and left to keep themselves safe.
Duck is, I gotta say, he's getting himself out of these sticky situations pretty effectively. Especially when you got an Athena who's looking to get those taunts in, but Scizzy's now looking in a bad situation. Post opting to go a little bit higher on that rotation, given the space. So, Fisher, what do you want to, are you liking what you're seeing right now, or what do you kind of want to see between these two teams? We've seen not much invasion, but definitely big rotations coming out of coming to Wild Inferno from Flourish.
It's certainly been a little bit quieter than I expected. I was ready for a lot of ganks this game, and so far we've really only seen that one onto the left-hand side, but now Jungler's brawling it out. Rushology loses a lot of HP. Invul Dawn for Thor. Is he gonna commit? Yes, he is.
Goes into the dash, doesn't hit, but now we see ultimates going awry. Apple and Typhoon. Apple going on post-drama. Typhoon not really finding anything to connect to. Now it's just a rush and a chase to try to get out Power for being a bit too aggressive on that Anvil of Dawn. But he's going to be able to create that space as Thor definitely is one to be able to get a run away. Big wall into a stun. Post-drama's in a bad spot. Caught out. Power gets the kill with a solid wall. Not only was the stun great for keeping him in place, but that wall made sure Post wasn't going anywhere that he wanted to. Really good turnaround by Powell, who had a bit of a dubious engagement, to say the least.
I think questionable probably encapsulates it pretty well on the decision to dive in, but you know, it's going to work out for them. First kill up to Wild Inferno. Not the target they were looking for, but if you can get an Athena behind, I think that's probably the support that you want to put behind in levels. Athena from ahead is beyond scary. Luckily against this Umoja, shouldn't have too much chances to get there on the side of Wild Inferno. Now more brawling over the middle Harpies here in the right lane. It's a 2-on-3 Flourish. We've seen them get a little bit aggressive once or twice, but so far kind of yet to commit to anything big.
Now, one thing we haven't really talked too much about is this Discordia, right? So we were talking about picks and bans, we're talking about the assassins, and the Ishel, who was a bit newer that we're seeing, but didn't really talk about the Discordia so much. Now, what do you think she brings to the table? You know about her passive, but do you think that she has what is needed for Wild Inferno to kind of deal with this Flourish aggression, or do you think that they might be on the back foot in the mid lane?
It's a little bit of a mixed bag, I'd say, just because she's going against the Ishel. Obviously, Realty is going to have to dive very, very deep into these team fights in order to try to find utility with Great End Ultimate, as well as some of the shorter abilities. And I think for that end, Scizzy should do pretty well. I mean, a very, very easy to hit route, good safety in the dash, leap, whatever you want to classify it as, and Golden Apple just creating a lot of chaos. It should be pretty good on the anti-dive here, and we've already talked about a lot about Flourish's team comp and the different aspects of it. You know they're going to be diving for kills as a team, and I really like Discordia into that.
And the one thing that's great about Discordia too is her passive can do a lot of passive stuff for you, right? But speaking of her abilities, we got an Apple coming out, getting post-drama stuck, trying to look for a way out. Post gets the dash to create space, but it's not enough. There's 3 surrounding Powers on top. Spin to win. Chaos Ball coming out, but Powers going to secure the kill on a post-drama yet again, creating space to try to get this beacon that is probably coming up soon. Though I see the rotation from Azteck, or maybe it's just to secure and help his team out. This Gold Fury might just be a bit free right now, but these junglers are just trading blows. Rushology barely gets out of the River's Rebuke, but there's not enough. Too many ultimates. Falls down to Scizzy. No, it's a full team fight. Post-drama trying to pull Power in, get these kills. Killjoy manages to get one on Scizzy, looking low. Azteck's hopping out. Killjoy can't find the snipe. And POWAAAAHHHH, who has no mana and barely any health, manages to squeak their way out of that fight. But there's 4 strong, and almondbutter's not looking like you're having a good time. DRkILLxJOY gets the kill. Now perspective, Duck is being looked at for just trying to help his support. Gonna turn the way into Gold Fury, which I gotta say is a great call, knowing that they have the control they do. But Azteck's back, full health, and ready to cause problems. PeeWeSpurMan trying to engage, but decides that Duck is the target. Lets his team deal with Azteck, Mystic Rush, and then beads to negate it. PeeWee's just all over Duck, using the jolt to get away, but did exactly what he needed to. Causes Flourish to drop the Gold Fury. POWAAAAHHH's in a bad spot, getting typhooned out, trying to get away, but Thor does, in fact, get away, teleporting to Hammer. Gives him the space, allowing POWAAAAHHH to be as slippery as he's been through the rest of the game. While Inferno has successfully stopped this Gold Fury pull without losing anyone in return. Good ups to Duck and to Azteck, who caused enough chaos to allow the team to get back. What an engagement.
I have no idea what the Nike was doing on the left side of the map. You think maybe while Inferno was trying to sneak a Gold Fury, it was still well off from the beacon spawn, but just doesn't really pan out for them. Flourish, luckily enough, are going to catch them out in the jungle. Manage to kind of turn the fight around a little bit, force them back, almost get the Gold Fury themselves. I like dropping it though. We've already said many times what Flourish can do from ahead, and they are about 1,500. You don't want to give any semblance of that lead, any possibility of a steal over to Wild Inferno. But now this kind of sets the stage for what these teams are going to do at the beacon, spawning now in 5 seconds, and Athena, the only one showing remote interest in it.
And what I'm looking at right now is these charts. Is something that's a bit surprising to me is usually you see the leads going in one direction for one team, both XP and gold. But right now, Wild Inferno has the XP lead, while Flourish has the gold lead. Hold that, Realty's getting low, caught out with an apple, uses the rainbow beam to heal up and also keep the distance. The Stygian beacon did, though, fall to Flourish. So we got Realty managed to get out of there by the skin of their teeth.
Now they're trying to re-engage. PostDRAMA finds a double taunt, but POWAAAAHHH up into the air. We saw them commit deep last time. Not gonna do the same. The Thor just running away, and that might be the first time this season I've really seen a team just not care about the first beacon.
I've noticed so many times too, and I've always posed the question over and over again. Teams will die for the beacon. I've watched them do it, and they'll like sit there and they'll just throw themselves to the meat grinder that is the opposing team. And I've never seen teams fight so aggressively for some of these objectives. I've seen Fire Giant being let go a couple times. I've been seeing Gold Fury just be like, all right, we'll just let Gold Fury go. We'll just drop it. Why do you think these teams love the beacon so much that they're willing to die for it, where they'll just kind of let Gold Fury and Fire Giant go? But hold on to that big wall of POWAAAAHHH, and the hammer spin to win doesn't get out. Rushology's caught in a bad spot. Too many stuns. Almondbutter secures the kill. We got 4 rotating as now Wild Inferno's looking to pick up this Gold Fury, and I don't think Flourish is any of the wiser right now.
Flourish don't have too many wards there. The Rama might sense it. Gold Fury, though, dropping very low. DRkILLxJOY does get into the air. They know. Can he find the steal?
Wild Inferno does secure it! Flourish cannot steal. Results in another kill. PostDRAMA falling to Scizzy. I thought DRkILLxJOY got that for a second. I was surprised. Wild Inferno managed to pick it up, but good to them. They were able to secure their own objective and not let Flourish steal it out from under them. They're really starting to swing this game into their favor.
I was very, very close on that Gold Fury attempt by DRkILLxJOY, maybe just a millisecond off either direction, but I mean, Rama Astral Barrage does not do as much damage as you would think it does. It's hard to steal with, and now Rushology caught in by the Emoja. Can he get out alive? Anvil of Dawn gets close enough, but the damage doesn't land.
So many abilities being thrown out to try to save their teammate. Wild Inferno's going to decide to disengage, find themselves up a creek, sans paddle, and they're going to decide to disengage from this fight. Now, what do you think the issue is Flourish is having? Because we saw that they were up in gold, and they still are up in gold, but Wild Inferno is up in XP, so this game's a bit split. But I will say Wild Inferno has more kills. Do you think that this is start leaning towards one team or another, or do you think this is about anyone's game still?
I think it's just a process of trying to get to the late game. We really haven't seen these teams group up a whole ton. Flourish's team fight should be pretty good once they get to that stage. But on top of that, the E-Shell just not being involved, I think, nearly as much as Discordia. And that could be due to Scizzy, I think, rotating a little bit more with the team, where Realty is maybe a tad later on it, which, I mean, it's not really a problem, but that could certainly be swinging it in Wild Inferno's favor for the moment.
I think it's going to be whether the base of this game is going to be whether Flourish can really come together and coordinate all their attacks and their engages, because we saw that back when they decided to four-man throw everyone into the duo lane, right? But now we see Rushology and Post kind of getting caught out a whole bunch of times, and it's just causing the fight to kind of disintegrate. When you do these aggression comps, these rush comps, you're looking to engage all together, because if you're throwing too many people, if you're just throwing yourself one at a time to the enemy, then you don't coordinate all that damage that you have. And since you don't have the CC to really set it up, besides really the Athena, Rushology has it too, but he's got the danger of pulling someone into him. But Athena has that too, pulling in. POWAAAAHHHH manages to get out, causing Scizzy to have to throw in an apple. PostDRAMA getting caught out. Rivers Rebuke pinning him inside. Azteck getting the final kill. This is what we're talking about. It's just they can't seem to coordinate their engagements. Flourish just seems to be picked off one by one.
Flourish do lose one member. PostDRAMA kind of been the target so far for Wild Inferno. 4 deaths in 16 minutes there on the side of the Athena. And now we saw Wild Inferno try to commit to a Gold Fury earlier and pull off, but they still do have the Pyromancer up on the right-hand side of the map. About another minute and 15 seconds before that beacon spawns, if even. I'd love to see them maybe try to force something, or at least show up for this next Stygian beacon. And I think you asked a while back before we got cut out by team fighting, like why teams prioritize that over stuff like the Gold Fury. It's a damage increase. I mean, the increased damage to structures, phoenixes, titans, it's worth much more than just a small bit of gold, but still gonna have to wait and see what these teams elect to do with it.
Now, is that only when the Titans come out, or is that permanently throughout the rest of the game?
I believe it's through the rest of the game. It at least is with structures. Couldn't tell you about the Titans. I believe it's still increased damage to them.
Alright, that makes more sense then. I also think it has in part to do with the fact that it's harder to steal, and you feel safer confirming it from the other team, right? So if you get it full, the other team has to force you off it and stand there for a while to get it. And it's also, you don't have to worry about taking damage from the objective itself, where you have to worry about Gold Fury taking damage or Fire Giant fighting back. This, you just kind of you just sit there to confirm it, right? So I feel like that might be the allure to it, is you don't feel like you're risking too much when all of a sudden you realize you're just throwing yourself at the enemy team. We're going to end up seeing Wild Inferno get this beacon for themselves, and there's 1-1, and this next beacon is going to be the deciding factor of who's going to have the upper hand when these Titans start clashing.
Now Flourish trying to make a move here onto the left-hand side of the map. The solo laners out of solo lane for the second or third time this game. They've been rotating very early, what we normally see, and you got to think that's going to be the target. Primal Fury sitting here 19 minutes in, and Flourish might be looking to take out the Ishtar first. They're really heading to the left lane. PostDRAMA going to be the one to engage, but once again, Perspective Duck finds a dash out. Now PeeWeSpurMan on the other side in trouble.
Mesmerize saves Duck from the engagement of PostDRAMA. Apple comes out, doesn't find a target. Now we see Aztecs on the offensive, but getting pummeled, forced to use the ultimate to give him the shield to save out. Rivers Rebuke doesn't find anyone. POWAAAAHHHH dives in and can't get a stun. And then we got Typhoon taking out Wild Inferno, who's decided to be the aggressive ones here, but that's a lot of ultimates used with not much gain. Flourish is mostly healthy and still have essentially all of their ultimates minus Rushology. A nice Mystic Rush or a Rainbow Beam might be the deciding factor in this fight when none of Wild Inferno have their ultimates. All was expended to try to engage on a Flourish, and not much was really gained out of it, and they understand this as they're backing away. Flourish taking control of this area around the Gold Fury, but objective is not looking like it's going to be a priority right now.
Not going to be Flourish, though, still stepping up. Might be looking for a pick first in order to turn it over. But no, just hanging out in mid lane. I'd expect solo laner is going to start marching to the right side of the map soon. And indeed, there goes Azteck. And it's 20 minutes into this game, and it has been uncharacteristically quiet for what I expected out of these two team comps.
The one thing I wish Flourish would have been more aggressive in that last engagement. You watched them roll zeros on all their ultimates, right? River's Rebuke didn't find anyone. The apple bounced into infinity. Azteck used theirs defensively, and POWAAAAHHHH just up and missed, right? So you have everything minus Rushology. Walk into it, go for it, take advantage of the fact that they have none of their big ticket abilities, and I think that would have opened up Gold Fury. But it's only speculation, and that's only seeing from a third-person view. So I'm not sure how it could have gone, but I think I would have liked to see them try to push that advantage they have, because now that time's passed and the disengages happen, essentially all the ultimates are back up for Wild Inferno. So this next fight is gonna be even, where last fight Flourish could have taken the advantage of having their ultimates.
That is always something to keep in mind, that we got different perspective, but now perspective Duck trying to get out alive, POSTDRAMA chasing in, and so much damage onto Rushology. And lucky for Wild Inferno, don't shut the Susano down. Now maybe they have an opportunity. No, they're going to have to back. Could this possibly be the first time we see Wild Inferno on the front foot? And indeed it might, because Azteck's here.
That's one thing you gotta worry when there's a Susano just closing that distance, that blink into the cloud. Respective Duck doing amazing things to be able to keep himself alive. They decide to go to the Primal Fury, which is burning low. Realty and Post, the only ones here to contest it, but I don't know if they can. Wild Inferno does secure it, leading Flourish down 2 Gold Furies. Wild Inferno has now secured their second Fury. And this might start being the end for Flourish, because they're just letting Wild Inferno get away with all this. POWAAAAHHHH poking out Rushology with a solid wall hammer combo. Spin to win doesn't connect, but Wild Inferno is just going to start occupying this mid lane, setting up for perhaps a Pyromancer, or at least the Beacon, which is charging and going to be up soon. Pyromancer getting low. PeeWeSpurMan trying to get the kill. Wild Inferno does get it. Apple comes out, doesn't find a target. Spurman now trapped, while Azteck is causing chaos against 3. Duck kills Spurman, and now we have Wild Inferno full and strong in this mid lane and against a T1 that doesn't look too healthy to begin with. Perspective Duck walking in, dropping the tower like it was tissue paper. And we just see Wild Inferno is really running away with this. Killjoy does manage to steal a tower away. T2 in fact, but now he's facing down 2, and with POWAAAAHHH able to really close distances, the only thing he can do is really kill him before he gets a chance. Defender of Olympus coming out to support. Astral Barrage out, and POWAAAAHHH can't go far enough. Dr. Killjoy gets the T2 and the opportunity to escape, but he's walking into 2 more. Can't see him. Beads, ages, the whole shebang. Not enough. Trying his best. Light arrows get the damage. Scizzy gets the kill. Now POSTDRAMA is stuck and caught out. 4 looking at him. Pop up into the air, bouncing like a bouncy castle, land down into chaos. All the abilities everywhere. Perspective Duck confirming the damage that will end POSTDRAMA's life and send him to the grayscale. And I gotta say, I think that fight is very indicative of how this whole game is being going. Flourish can do a lot of impressive things individually, but they can't seem to group up. And when Wild Inferno is able to group up, they're just able to get kill after kill after kill. And it's just, if Flourish can't really learn to start engaging together, it's going to be a problem. Beacon coming up, but Flourish can't really afford to contest this with about 3-4 defending. It's not looking good for Flourish right about now.
Ravana might look for it, but teammates still a little bit away. Rushology just now getting the mid along with Realty, and indeed Flourish gonna let the beacon go. So 2-1 now for Wild Inferno. Titans will be marching down the mid lane. We're gonna see some action before that as POSTDRAMA lands a big taunt.
Lands a taunt, but catches the apple for his issues. Shotgun arrows doing the damage. POSTDRAMA barely getting out. Rushology taking an advantage of POSTDRAMA's death, getting a kill of its own, but POWAAAAHHH getting a return kill onto Rushology. Now facing Spurman. He's right on top of him with the slows in the root, but Heroism pops out to give Powa the safety shield, but Realty getting jolted by Duck. Powa getting the confirmed kill on Killjoy. Now PeeWee is just Duck in the middle of 4 and falls to Duck. The team fighting on Wild Inferno is just too much to handle. They surround and kill, and that's what they've been doing all game, and that's what they continue to be doing.
Another great team fight we see here from Wild Inferno, now at 14-6 in the kills department, and that opens up the map a little bit. It's only going to be POSTDRAMA joined shortly by Rushology. They now have to make a choice. Are they going to try to march down mid and help the Titan, or are they going to go for Fire Giant? It looks like Fire Giant's a call. They're going to have to be careful, though. Rushology will be here soon. They're going to see they're not in mid and know where they are. Indeed, POSTDRAMA heading over to the right. Typhoon's a good steal tool. They need to burn this down. But Susano goes to left lane.
I don't know if that's the play to do. POSTDRAMA showing up and, like usual, alone. I don't know what Post expects to do in a Fire Giant alone. Azteck doing an amazing job poking him out, securing the Fire Giant for Wild Inferno and making sure that Post can't do anything. Using the Titans in the middle as a distraction. Post is stuck, got an apple in a wall for his troubles. Powa gets the kill. Post getting caught out. It's the 7th death coming out of Post this game, and I think Post has the potential. The Athena play is solid, but he just keeps getting picked.
Athena not having the best go of it this game. POSTDRAMA kind of the lightning rod for their team so far. Is now Wild Inferno going to group with this Titan, march down into the mid. Phoenix not too much health yet, but a brand new minion wave and a full 5 squad. Middlebird falls.
Powa's in the air looking at Anvil of Dawn, known to be aggressive with it, but decides to back out, looking for a different Phoenix, getting the T2 tower that is just, again, nothing but tissue paper at this point. You got a Fire Giant, you got a Duck. Make that tower quack itself. He's gonna quack the tower, make it crumble. I amused myself with my own jokes. I'm sorry. Going for the Gold Fury here, and no contest coming out of Flourish.
Primal Fury going to be an easy secure here for Wild Inferno. Now on the side of Flourish, are in a little bit of a rough spot. I mean, their comp is still good. The fact that they're behind could be worse with a lot of other gods, but a 5-level deficit in the support role is not one that feels good, especially compared to the build difference. It's another full item, half an item, and a starter upgrade there for almondbutter. It's tough to imagine a scenario where Flourish are really able to contest. They might not have their mid laner Ishel dropping incredibly low. Azteck 1v5ing.
Azteck doing what soul laners do best, creating chaos in the space that creates. For Wild Inferno, just do what they want in this jungle. Camps are theirs. Everything is just going the way of Wild Inferno. So Scizzy tossing out a big apple to cause damage, and it seems just Flourish is just plain discombobulated. Wild Inferno is able to get the Chisel in there and just split them apart. Chisel's name is Azteck, who we just saw 1v5 and was able to just barely receive any damage for their trouble. Wild Inferno looking at solo Phoenix. Can Flourish defend enough? Wild Inferno gets caught out. River's Rebuke to save almondbutter, who gets taunted out. Mystic Rush coming in to try to get almondbutter and finish it. Blink in by Rushology, looking to get the kill, but almondbutter just stays alive. Azteck in the back. Powa following up, gets the kill on DRkILLxJOY, and Duck gets the kill on PeeWeSpurMan. POSTDRAMA falling down to Scizzy. Realty left to help with Rushology, but gets deleted. Rushology, the only one left. Most of Wild Inferno is significantly low, but Rush can't do much. That Titan's falling down. There's nothing he can do. Wild Inferno takes the victory in game 1. I gotta say, that was amazing play by both teams. Early game, it was anyone's game, but we really saw Wild Inferno just kind of take it and run with it. They were able to really group up when they needed to and effectively play as a team. And here's the one thing I'll say is in games like these is you can tell when there's a team made of great players and they're just a great team. And I think a great team can beat out great players anytime, because we saw a lot of damage coming out of Rushology. PeeWeSpurMan was doing great things. DRkILlxJOY was amazing. And they're all great players. But Wild Inferno was just a great team. They were able to surround, close, and kill. And I think that's what really won them this game.
Absolutely. Positioning's huge in Smite, and especially in a game like this where it gets as late as it got 30 minutes in, and the fact that one of the teams really hadn't fought as 5 yet, I think speaks volumes, and especially when POSTDRAMA just kind of flying around the map a lot. I mean, was there for pretty much every fight, pretty much every defense. The fact that the team wasn't with the Athena there, I think definitely hurt. They're going to need to make changes going into game number 2. But like you said, it's a team full of great players. They're 4 weeks into the season. They know the playstyles. They know each other. They're going to know what it takes to get back on track.
And I think they need to pick their targets just a little bit better. We saw them go into on almondbutter in that last defense. A lot was used to try to just kill the support, and where the DPSs were able to take advantage of that, because you saw diving in the back, you got POWAAAAAHHHH going in, and then you had Azteck going in and take advantage of all the abilities that were just used on almondbutter, who got away. And I just think that was amazing ability to kind of go in, almondbutter able to just stay alive, draw everything out, and now all of a sudden Flourish is all they're scattered, discombobulated, abilities used, and Wild Inferno was just able to take advantage of that. And that really highlights how the whole game went. So good ups on Wild Inferno. They played a solid game and really played as a team. I think Flourish has the ability, the capability of really playing a lot of talented players. I just want to see a bit more cohesion coming out of them. And I think that's something that's difficult and easy at the same time, right? Because they have the talent and the ability. You weren't draft diffed. You didn't let any bad bands come through. So you can run the same thing again. You just got to kind of come together a bit more. Sometimes it's a bit easier said than done, but you're only trying to defeat yourself at this point, right? You're trying to be better than yourself rather than beat the other team, and that's a bit easier sometimes than having to be like, all right, we need to be better. It's not we need to be better than them. It's all right, we're as good as them. We just need to be better than ourselves.
Flourish certainly going to be trying to kind of rise above in this game too. They want to push us to game 3. We'll still have to wait to see if it happens. But if you are on the side of Flourish, like you said, they did not have a bad team comp. It feels like we were talking about that through the majority of the last picks and bans, a little bit of the early game, just how strong Flourish could be on the other side from Wild Inferno. If you're Team Flourish, is there any specific pick you think you're looking to ban out? Were there any picks that you think, gave them more trouble than others kind of in the team fight phase?
I can't think. I can imagine so. It seemed like all the big issues were just Wild Inferno taking advantage of what Flourish was letting them take advantage of. It didn't seem like there was a specific god or a specific player who was a problem. It just seemed that Flourish needs to come together a bit more. You understand what I'm saying? It's like there wasn't a specific god that caused the havoc. There wasn't someone here like, oh, we gotta watch out for that person. It was a group effort to take advantage of all the little issues that Flourish had. So I think the picks bans, I think they could be identical, and I don't think that'll be much of an issue. Is there anything that you want to see specifically banned or something like that, or you kind of agree on the same idea?
I think I'd probably agree with you. The only one I would consider would maybe be a Nike ban. Azteck just looked way too comfortable on that god. The first time I've ever seen anybody build Corrupted Bluestone in a game I've cast. So certainly feeling good, feeling aggressive. I'd consider taking the Nike way. I don't really know if it's enough to warrant a top 3 ban, but given their performance, given how game 1 went, I'd certainly consider it. And especially because they just kind of bypass the bans like Thor and Ravana. They're not thinking about meta, but instead they think almondbutter was a big problem, and they'd be right. The Emoja can be the one taken off the board.
I do think almondbutter, the Emoja is definitely a good ban, because almondbutter was very good on those Rivers Rebukes and splitting the teams up and forcing his team or their team to kind of take advantage of it, right? So I do think that was a good ban because it allows Flourish not to be split up as easily. And I think that was one thing Wild Inferno had last game, was the walls between Thor and Umoja. So, but Thor's coming out again. If POWAAAAAHHH can really split those teams up with those walls like he did in game 1, I think Wild Inferno is going to have a bit of an easier time, because really contributed to the division of the unit team. You saw a whole bunch of times that stun was just huge
Now
in the
is the
wall
time.
follow up. Then we got Nike coming out too, like you said, KingFsher, and that's gonna be something that Flourish has to respect. I want to start seeing some erosions and maybe even a little cheeky sunder.
I think they did go Sunder last game. I'm pretty sure Ravana picked it up, but like we said, it didn't group. I don't really think we got a
Take
chance
pleasure
to
in
see
the
it.
crushing of
We're gonna
one's
go
enemies.
right back to the Ravana. I'd maybe like to see this thrown into the jungle. I know I said last game that Ravana performs better in solo laner, and I still think that's true, but Rushology did have a little bit of trouble in the early game, getting picked out with damage early. Didn't die very much, to their credit, but were certainly poked out for a lot of those team fights. Having a Ravana in the jungle kind of mitigates that. You can be aggressive, you can still be safe. They're going to run the Rama back. One pick we didn't talk about on Flourish's side that I really like DRkILLJOY on.
Wisdom
Dr.
shall
Killjoy
be my
looked
shield.
really solid on top of that on that Rama pick. The snipes were on point. He caught Powa at like I could have sworn that was max range. Thought he was safe. I was Powa. I would have thought I was safe too. So those snipes are on point, and you just saw Killjoy really kind of run the show for Flourish. So I think that's a very solid pickup, especially with Ravana again. But see some bans coming through. Duck getting banned out in the Ishtar, I think that was appropriate. There were so many things that Duck did too with that Ishtar that were just impressive. Like when in the beginning of the game, kickflip the Typhoon. We saw Duck mesmerize out the Athena before she could dash and catch him with a taunt. So I don't necessarily think Ishtar was the problem, but I definitely can understand seeing some of the things that Duck were able to do on the Ishtar. Like, nah, you know, we just don't want to deal with that. But bans rounding out, Fisher. What do you want to see for these last two picks for each team?
Well, I mean, first off, we're going to see
I
something
should
that
have
we got
created a world
banned in
that
game
you
one. It's
did
going to
not
be the
exist
Tiamat,
in.
so maybe a little bit more of a target ban than a meta ban than we might have thought in game one. Regardless, though, Scizzy had a very good game on the Discordia, obviously. Now, trying to run it back with a different mage. I don't know on the side of Flourish. I mean, I'm assuming they
That
still need
may
the
be
jungler,
your
and they still need the mid
undoing.
laner. And Cleo's a really good place to start. We don't see this pick a whole ton, but if left unchecked in that jungle, can do a lot of damage.
Do you think it's going to be clean at jungle, or do you think it's going to be clean at
Yes.
solo?
I think it's going to be clean in jungle. I'd like to see it reversed, but I mean, Ravana's
Face the
a
wrath
better
of a
solo laner than
sorceress
Cleo is, in my
scorned.
opinion, by a mile.
You think so?
Yeah, as much as I'd like to see Rushology in particular on the Ravana, I just think it's too good in solo lane to be taken away, especially into Nike again. I mean, PeeWeSpurMan did not have a bad game at all. Only had 2 deaths, did not die once in lane, had a fine laning phase, was pretty similar in XP the entire time. So I think running that lane back would probably be smartest there for Flourish.
One thing I gotta say, I love seeing Kalina because you watch people be very creative with their passive, going to the walls, and just
I will
completely surprising people. Rounding out well, Inferno will be Hachiman, which I gotta say, I was surprised they didn't, or it wasn't picked up last game. Hachiman went unpicked and unbanned last game, so coming out finally makes the sense that didn't make in game one. Now that we see that the teams are rounded out, is there a certain team that you think has kind of gotten the advantage in this pick ban, or do you think it's kind of like last game where they both have solid teams? It's going to be down to the players themselves.
They do still both have good teams. I think I give this one over to Wild Inferno. I think it's a very tanky front line. It's a hard to deal with front line. And having a Hachiman who's one of the strongest ADCs in the game right now, you have Scizzy back on something that I would guess is more comfortable since it was banned in game one. And on the other side, the Kalina is just way too big of a question mark for me. I mean, I think we both said it can absolutely pop off. It can rule the game, but I've also seen games where Kalinas just aren't really able to get involved because it's a difficult character to play when you're behind.
Tiamat has me throwing some questions up because Tiamat can definitely get caught sometimes where you don't really know how to distribute your damage appropriately. Kind of get caught. You're trying to figure out the way. You're in one stance, you want to be in the other, and Tiamat just kind of causes trouble. It's hard to kind of get her damage out sometimes. If you can't really get the flow chart down right, you kind of get caught up.
Absolutely can, but it's going to be a little bit of a toss-up between the mages, between the different positions, and between two great teams, so we're not going to make you wait any longer and get right into game number 2.
All right, game 2, Immortal Flourish versus Wild Inferno. And you got Gearchief here and KingFsher. Let's get into the bloodshed.
Alrighty, it's going to be starting over here in the duo lane. We saw last game those two were very aggressive very early on, but POWAAAAHHHH already needing to use the beads. Not the start you want if you're Wild Inferno trying to get an early game lead back again.
And KingFsher, do you spot what I spot right now?
Okay, wait, you're going to have to give me a second because I wasn't looking.
Here's a little hint.
Yes, okay, now I see. It really caught me off guard at first, but we're going to see Rushology on the Ravana. So now maybe a little bit less of a question mark. I think we were talking about last game how good PeeWeSpurMan is. Did have a good last game. Should certainly be able to pilot the cleanup. But uh-oh, DRkILlxJOY.
First blood goes to Perspective Duck with an aggressive dash stun, managing to really get that out on top of out for Hachiman. But blink in, Rushology sticking to him like Ravana does. Level 3 blocking the dash out of almondbutter, but manages to find that spot. Here comes the rotation from Realty, but does not find the kill. Unfortunate, as PeeWeSpurMan's forced to back out in the solo lane. One thing I gotta say though about Kleina's solo is she can really AFK that lane, especially with that ultimate. So that's why I thought to myself, it might be, you might get your way through Ravana jungle.
Gonna be happy to see it. Kleina especially though, late game, it's one of those solo laners that, unlike Ravana, probably not gonna be building hybrid. It's gonna be a lot of damage items for PeeWeSpurMan there, and I think rightfully so. Kleina can do a lot of damage, but now Azteck the one doing all of it, dropping below 200 HP. Nike with a momentary advantage here in the right lane.
It's always awkward when you're Kleina pre-level 5 because you don't really have what you need to get really clear those waves effectively and efficiently. So you gotta be careful because a lot of her abilities really put her right in front of the enemy. Damn it, almondbutter dashing in, gets the taunt, but the silence keeps Duck from doing anything else. POSTDRAMA really getting his carry out of hot water. But the one thing I was very curious about though is we saw Pee-wee hop into the wall and then just walk out. So I'm curious to see as to know what the planning was in that, because it seems but damage that was unneeded. Rushology on top of Azteck, but here comes POWAAAAHHH getting PeeWeSpurMan caught out. And there's the walls we were talking about earlier, as POWAAAAHHH was able to make sure Pee-wee couldn't escape easily. Rushology now facing down 2, but he's full health. Azteck's a bit low. Ultimate comes out to compensate for that. Now Rushology's forced to back away, and it's gonna be a blue buff invade going for Flourish if they can get it. It's good retaliation coming out, but Pee-wee's still level 4.
Good job by Flourish, picking up a little bit on the back end. Yeah, Wild Inferno health bar is just way too low to kind of contest with that one. Now 2 kills going over to the Chaos team, even if they do lose a bit of farm. Yeah, you mentioned it, still level 4 over here in the left-hand lane. That first kill on DRkILlxJOY really may have put this duo lane behind. But on the other side, Athena ticking over to level 5 before... Oh, okay, there they go.
But as we start seeing these level 5s come up, I want to see a bit more aggression coming out from each team. But Wild Inferno's really taking this XP and this gold. Most of them, all of them hit level 5 already, and we see about 3 players still, maybe not anymore, but we saw most of some players still were struggling to get to level 5 for Flourish. Rushology just hit it, and now we got Rama and Ganesh who are still lower than 5, which is huge. That ultimate's going to be a big problem, especially when you got the Horse coming out for Perspective who can really use that to get away or just engage 2 levels ahead. And I think Wild Inferno's already running away with it. Spurman caught out. Solo kill for Azteck on Pee-wee. The assassin in the assassin who's not Ravana in the soul lane doesn't turn out to be doing too much. Even when he's got those ultimates, he's still risking PeeWeSpurMan having a tough time in that solo lane.
Very uncharacteristic from last game. Had a really good laning phase, but Kleina doesn't have any defense online. Certainly going to be a little bit more damage prone than that Ravana was going to be. Azteck does not have the full breastplate online though, so luckily for Spurman might be able to get off a little bit more damage. Start stacking that Soul Eater before you're really hurting. Now Wild Inferno, we saw a very, very early rotate last game from Realty on the side of Flourish to try and make something happen. I think they might need the same thing as now almondbutter trying to get aggressive here and left.
Taunt pulling PostDRAMA and Rushology in, but rare wall miss coming out from POWAAAAHHHH allows Flourish to get away. Not much received out of that, but count their blessings that wall didn't stop them from retreating. But it looks like we got a gang coming over. Duck's in a bad spot, but here comes the Pheno to the rescue. All that damage coming out from Duck, hopping on the horse to collapse onto Killjoy, who's now in the air. Duck is now stuck in the pillars, taking all that damage. Rushology taking advantage, but PostDRAMA is causing so much chaos. Almondbutter managing to get Duck out of harm's way. Those pillars do not result in a kill, and Duck gets away. But Flourish was able to save their carry, who created enough space for that Rama to hop up in the air and come back down. Powell looking at invade, teleporting now, getting that bonus damage off of that Witch Fire. Teleport coming in from Azteck to take advantage of the chaos, but not really going to work. His ward location is now a bit revealed.
Just a little bit. Flourish probably going to be a little bit more careful around their blue buff for the next few minutes. And I like that you bring up wards because last game, I haven't checked this game to see if it's the same, but PeeWeSpurMan had 0 wards through 30 minutes. Given the fact that they're already a little bit behind, we need to see that number change. Cannot be getting caught out by any ganks over there on the right side of the map this game.
But oh, PeeWeSpurMan's getting caught out. Azteck looking for a kill, not going to find it, and decide to go farm up the minions at his tower. We're really seeing Wild Inferno just be oppressive. As oppressive as we wanted to kind of see Flourish last game. And so what do you think that needs to happen for Flourish to kind of take this game too?
Well, first off, gotta stop getting picked. I feel like that's a very, very simple one, but we've seen both players that went down this game are behind. I mean, there's no other way to put it, but it's certainly not out of the woods. It's not out of the question. Flourish are not behind that far, only about 1,000 gold down. Might be more though. Rushology in a little bit of trouble and left. POWAAAAAHHH not going to commit though for, I think, the first time between these two games. We've really seen him be very, very gung-ho with that Thor.
That's what you want to do with Thor. You really want to get in there, drop all your abilities, and then get out. That hammer allows him a lot of mobility, especially through walls. So you can always afford to be a bit aggressive as Thor. You just got to make sure you don't use that hammer. He doesn't really have the ability like Susanoo does, where he has multiple forms of mobility. But he's always a slippery god nonetheless. Rushology trying to gank, walks over a ward, giving Duck that little information that he needed to get him in a safe spot. I don't know if it'll matter though. There's 3 here, but Duck really knows what's going on and is gonna opt for the more defensive sit under his tower approach of not getting killed. And I think that's one of the things that's really kept Wild Inferno in this game, is their ability to be passive when it needs to be, and then aggressive at the right times.
Wild Inferno certainly picking and choosing their battles very, very well this game. Pretty similarly last game as well. And speaking of last game, we're like 30 seconds from the point where the solos rotated out and everything just devolved in the mid lane. Wonder if we're going to see something similar, but the focus is on right lane. Realty's here, so once again, it's going to be a 4-person rotate there for Flourish. They don't commit on anything this time, except for maybe getting a silence onto Scizzy, which really isn't going to do much.
PostDRAMA really trying to rest, but that's what got them caught out in game 1. A bit too much in the front without anyone to do the supporting damage. Perspective Duck trying to get out to Killjoy, the dash out. All the dragon shots missed but one. Dr. Killjoy is forced under tower, but we got a gank coming out. PeeWeSpurMan underneath his own tower, I believe. Really just not letting PeeWee feel safe. And I think PeeWee's really rethinking this cleanup pick in solo lane.
Yeah, it's not the easiest pick in the world, especially I think we were talking about for the jungle how difficult Kalina is to play from behind. Can't even imagine the uphill battle in the solo lane. Luckily though, even despite the 3 deaths, a kill and an assist for the for the Nike rather, only a level behind. Not bad at all. It can certainly be made up, and I'd expect it to as this game goes on. Now, Nike just trying to zone out some minions. We're going to see Azteck maybe back, but no, look for some jungle invades. No camps up, though, on the right side of the map.
I think we're looking at a rotation for objectives. Proxy farming allows Azteck to really be a bit more aggressive on some of these rotations. I'm going to go back again for a second dose of proxy farming. And I don't know if that's a battle you want to engage with Kalina. She can just really drop that portal and then get away. Perspective Duck getting away from Rushology on top of that horse and to get away free. Get out of jail free card. And right now, it's a low kill game, 10 minutes. Flourish at a goose egg, while Wild Inferno's got 4 solid ones under their belt. I think at this point, you want to really start getting those picks for those objectives. Realty hopping the ultimate, getting low. Thor dunking on him. Powa with the kill. Out of space, out of time. Under the tower really pokes out Powa. And now most of Wild Inferno is really poked out, but only Rushology and PostDRAMA to do any bonus damage. They're not really afraid. 0-5 in the favor of Wild Inferno.
0-5, they gotten all 5 kills, and momentum is certainly on their side. It's been a pretty consistent gold lead there with one big leap, farming very, very well through this early game. But we saw them kind of drop this last game. The beacon's going to be up in 15 seconds. Once again, no one from Wild Inferno's there, especially this game where they already have the advantage. Getting that damage buff could be huge for them. Love to see them commit onto it, and they're going to send Almond Butter there, but going to be looking at 2 members from Flourish.
I don't think it matters too much. You know that Powa can be there in a second's notice with the hammer and the blink. Wild Inferno pushing away Flourish. We're going to opt to just let the beacon fall the way of Wild Inferno. And I think this is where my theme of death by 1,000 cuts starts forming, because it feels like Wild Inferno is just being let to take whatever they want, and there's no real not repercussions but response too much from Flourish, because it's 0-5 right now, and we only saw one invade early on the blue buff. We hadn't seen a consistent invade on it, and it just seems that Flourish is just constantly being pushed back, and there's no real plan in action to combat that. We've seen hovering around the dual lane to try to get Killjoy in there, but the wards have really made Duck allowed to see what's happening and be safe. We've seen that this Nike's just going almost uncontested, really, and SpurMan's just been a victim of it all, now getting caught out behind enemy lines, behind a tier 1 by Powa, with only a level advantage to try to keep him safe and force deeper into the jungle. It seems like Unflourish is kind of unwinding at this point.
And Powa's still walking around the wall over there in right lane. Kalina long gone back to base.
Got out.
The distraction worked. Flourish now pulled a Gold Fury, and it's going to be Dharmic Pillars as well, dropping very fast.
Flourish does secure the Gold Fury. Not going to let Wild Inferno get away with it without contest. Wild Inferno's trying to get a response damage out. Almond Butter dashes for a taunt on a PostDRAMA, but nothing to really follow up. Nothing comes of it. SpurMan now attacking into Almond Butter, but again, not teammates there to really reinforce the damage. So both teams just really going to walk away. Flourish getting honestly a very much needed win, showing that they're not going to go down without a fight.
Certainly are not, and that Gold Fury going to help maybe stem the bleeding a little bit from that gold disadvantage. It was up to nearly 4,000, now back down to 3, so hoping that continues to grow for Flourish if you're an Order Sound fan, but now Pyromancer might be the target here for Wild Inferno. They're going to set up a word by it, pulled by Almond Butter and Scizzy, but this time Flourish are close and might be able to contest, but Rushology may have to commit a little bit more than they want to in order to stop it.
Rushology, they're alone. They can't see Realty out there. Morgan Le Fay can't secure it. Wild Inferno does get the Pyromancer bomb in the pocket of Almond Butter, and now it looks like 4 are starting to stare at this mid lane, but they're going to disengage instead. Teleport coming out from Azteck and a blink to try to get DRkILlxJOY. Oh no, Defender of Olympus. The only answer for safety is going up in the sky. Astral Barrage being used defensively, trying to get out that dash, but not enough space. Azteck does get DRkILlxJOY. PostDRAMA coming out low on top of the horse, doing the damage. Duck does throw numbers. but now getting dropped on top of the Dharmic Pillars, followed up by Rushology. Chaos caused by Realty to allow Flourish to get away. Rushology gets a pretty amazing blink to get themselves out of a fight, but not enough. Azteck does find Rushology around a corner and confirms the kill. Realty, though, cannot seem to confirm the kill on Almond Butter or Duck. Despite throwing big fears, wasn't able to get the teammate out or get a kill. Here comes the ultimate out from Nike, a little hop and bop. Realty stuck into a wall, but here comes Post and DRkILlJOY. Azteck now facing the brunt of their mistakes as arrows just pelt them in the face. Tornado not enough, but the hop does create possible space. PostDRAMA now he smells blood in the water, but the stun's gonna make them think a bit differently. Still 0 kills for Flourish and 7 for Wild Inferno.
Big lead for Wild Inferno now. I mean, not dropping a death yet is huge for any game, just for XP and gold purposes, but especially for the mentals, gotta imagine, after that game 1 win, and now with this hot start, Wild Inferno want to end this one in a hurry. I'd be really surprised if we see a game longer than, like, I don't know, 35 minutes. Whatever way it goes, Wild Inferno is gonna want to push the go button at all times. Now we're gonna see these teams head over to left lane a little bit. The Thor's heading over as well, and the Azteck still just zoning things. Yep.
Azteck just allowed to proxy farm without a retaliation coming out. It seems like Rushology is devoting most of their time to this duo in mid, which is understandable. Solo's called solo for a reason. But I think that Wild Inferno might just end up running away with it. DRkILlJOY caught with a wall, but it's on the wrong side. A rare uh-oh for POWAAAAHHHH, who can't keep Rushology, or can't keep DRkILlJOY in the fight. Azteck is now being punished for the transgressions. The hop is out. The ultimate used to create space, but that Sunder's so sweet, manages to knock out all the shields, getting caught out. So many silences. The hop used in reverse is not enough. Realty finds the kill, but that was only a distraction for the main show. So much used, and now Wild Inferno gets a Gold Fury. So honestly, if that's what they have to use, if they have to give Flourish their first kill of the game to get a Gold Fury, I think that's perfect. We see an XP difference of almost 6,000 and a gold difference of almost 4,000. Wild Inferno's really starting to run away with this.
Good trade on the side of Wild Inferno. You never like having to give over a gold bonus that big for killing somebody. Obviously, 3 kills, no deaths. I think that's a 45% increase if memory serves. So Flourish have a little bit more in their pockets now for the Morgan Le Fay. Ooh, pretty good because they were already a little bit down on that Tiamat. Need all the help Flourish can get right now. Now POWAAAAHHH just gonna run away. Gold Fury gonna be the next one up for these teams, so hard to expect that'll be as big of a contest over something like an Oni Fury.
Just one thing you gotta understand is, I believe if they haven't changed it, is that the Gold Fury does allow protections to your tower, making it a bit harder to kill.
Yeah,
kind of like that. Like the Droger was, and so many people don't even remember that. They weren't paying attention when that happened. So it might not be as actively important, but it definitely is something you gotta watch out for too. Defender Olympus coming in. Scizzy turning on Rushology and PostDRAMA. The taunt in, pillars out. Scizzy kills PostDRAMA. Here comes POWAAAAHHH with a huge Anvil of Dawn, but cannot find the confirmation kill on top of Rushology. Pyromancer low. PeeWee trying to steal. Wild Inferno does confirm it, forcing PeeWee to run away. Oh no, PeeWee run faster, faster, can't do enough. Whole team is there, try to find Sanctuary in the wall, but he's gonna take him deeper in, gets into the wall just in time. And now it's only a matter of time if PeeWee can sit there and take that damage, and they're just waiting him out. I think he's gonna get stuck. Oh, the tower finds him! PeeWee gets the kill on PeeWee, the second kill for Flourish. Unfortunately, it's on himself.
Haven't seen that too many times. Probably a small mishap there by the clean, and now mid tier 1 gonna drop for Wild Inferno. They're still looking very, very strong. Gold lead just continued to grow. One more kill, and it really seems like this Chaos team can do no wrong. I'm kind of wondering when they're going to group up, make fights happen. We said it all throughout last game, all throughout picks and bans. That was where they won the game, on to Flourish. But so far, we've really yet to see them make those big group plays that kind of won them the game.
I think we see them a little bit here and there with that Pyromancer and the Gold Fury. Yeah, it's not necessarily been grouped on to Flourish, but they've grouped onto the objectives. I think it's just a matter of Flourish keeps getting caught out, like we saw. PeeWee got caught out there, got picked alone. PostDRAMA kind of overstepped, got picked alone. When they fight as a team, like we saw in their jungle, we saw Realty coming out, dropping a big fear, trying to save most of his teammates. It seems Flourish can hold their own, but they just keep getting picked. They keep walking into these fights and just taking this silly damage. And I think it's going to be the big decider of this game right now. Perspective Duck caught out alone. Rushology and DRkILlxJOY, Defender of Olympus. Duck throwing out damage is themselves. Caught up in the air. DRkILlxJOY has to use Aegis, then Beads. Doesn't matter. Duck gets the kill. Now Rushology is stuck out, and here comes Azteck. Rushology is getting picked. Big slam and a 3 to follow it up. Perspective Duck gets the confirmation on Rushology. And that was just unfortunate. The true power of Athena coming out to save Duck and turn that fight around on top of a very well-timed teleport.
Just when Flourish thought they had caught a break, caught somebody out of position. Wild Inferno says that's not the case. Good Defender of Olympus and good rotate by Azteck. Gonna net them the Gold Fury as well. And like you said, does have that defensive powers now, like the old Draugr, if anybody remembers that at long, long ago time of Smite. And now, more importantly, not going to go over to Flourish, but now PeeWeSpurMan in trouble. Might try to get into the wall, but dropping so low.
Getting into the fire giant while creating the space, getting away, showing the true capability of Kalina's passive. And I think that's one of the cool things too, is if you can get that out of it, if you can get that and not have too low health to get on that wall, you can really create a lot of space that the other team just can't answer to. And that also might be why that PeeWee feels a bit safe in their jungle. We've seen it time and time again. They're there, right? They're so deep in there, and most of the time they manage to get themselves out. Like when POWAAAAAHHHH was left looking, or right there when they were able to get in the wall, and Wild Inferno was just like, all right, we're not going to get him, right? So I think it's a true capability of Kalina, but I want to start seeing more wall traps. I want to see Flourish utilize the ability to get Wild Inferno in a alleyway that they don't want to be in, with like Banshee portals coming out of everywhere, and then just collapse. I think that's what we're really waiting for, especially from this Kalina.
Kalina can certainly pounce at the right times, and I'm sure PeeWeSpurMan this game just looking for the opportunity to do so. Now 23 minutes in, both teams just kind of stuck and waiting. The beacon's up in a minute and I call it 15 seconds. You know what that means. Titans marching down 1 minute after. Last game, we really didn't see either of these times prioritize it that much. Might be time for Flourish to get back in, and Perspective Duck just wants Pyromancer, so takes it.
Gonna get it, but
bomb.
yeah, Cardinal Sin. We see almondbutter still holding it. This the first bomb. I'm waiting to see if the second one gets picked up, and I'm waiting. All right, good. Azteck got it. I thought they were gonna walk away from it. Yeah, I was about to get really irritated. It's kind of like when you see a bomb lying out. It's like hearing forks scraping on plates or something like that. You just get that shiver in your spine. I don't know. I might be alone in that one, but looks like Wild Inferno is going to start looking at this T1 that I don't think is long for this world, as it just keeps falling down farther. Post caught out, the wall used, but that dash doesn't matter. Dashes through. Azteck following up with a hop and an ultimate. Duck getting the kill on PostDRAMA. And now you see that the T2 is fallen as well. And Wild Inferno is just looking strong. And Flourish doesn't really have an answer to this insanity that is Wild Inferno. Confirming the beacon, though, Wild Inferno will get this one around.
That's going to be their third straight, too. So they're going to have a 15% damage increase to all structures, the Titans, whatever you want to call it. Wild Inferno now putting themselves in a great position to end this game as quickly as possible. Going to be going down the right-hand lane. And I feel, I've talked about this many times on this cast with other casters. when a team has a lead as big as Wild Inferno does, and it seems like not a ton of teams are valuing the Titans just yet, go to the right side of the map, kill Flourish's Titan in 5 seconds, run to Fire Giant. They're gonna have to pick one or the other, and either way, Flourish is going to lose that trade. Still yet to see many teams do that, but would still love to see Wild Inferno make that decision.
I agree. Sometimes the Titans can be very strategic with how you use them. They're a simple mechanic, but you can decide to use the whole fight as a distraction. So maybe you're forcing the weaker team to try to kill your Titan, but you're really getting the big objectives, or you kill the Titan preemptively to allow yourself to be a bit more free to take anything else on the map, where the other team has to worry about your Titan. So there's definitely a couple of cool things you can do with it. It looks like Wild Inferno is going to decide to just catch it as they meet and kill out the Flourish's Titan, like you were saying. Take advantage of it, and here they are engaging on it. This Titan does not look like it's going to be able to do much, especially when you have those buffs that you've been collecting all game. And I just think it puts Wild Inferno in a very good spot. Oh, looking to engage. Taunt finds no one, and neither does the Hop. So we see now Wild Inferno is staring down for us, just causing them to back up. And this is the big moment. They decided to Fire Giant, or are they going to push in? Azteck looks like he's going to push in, while the rest of his team's going to do Fire Giant. Nike caught by 3. Ultimate come out, but here's the Sunder, like we were saying. That ultimate does nothing when you're sundered. Azteck getting caught, hops the wall, and now stuck. Flourish secures the Fire Giant. Rushology doing big things despite falling to Duck, who's now on a rampage. And not only is that a Fire Giant for Flourish, but it's not a Fire Giant for Wild Inferno. Duck getting mad, trying to retaliate. POWAAAAHHHH in with a big power bomb, stunning out POSTDRAMA, who falls to Duck. Killjoy stuck in the air and now drops to Scizzy. Oh no, Titan's been left alone, and this Phoenix is low. 2 into 5, really. That Fire Giant steal doesn't look like it's doing enough. Wild Inferno in the throne room with their Titan against Flourish's Titan, which is just burning down. There's nothing they can do. Realty getting the kill on almondbutter. Azteck getting the kill on PeeWeSpurMan. Realty getting a double kill and triple kill with the help of the Titan. Duck just throwing damage out. Realty looking for a quadra kill. Finds the quadra kill. Can Realty find the pentakill? But it doesn't look like it. Powa gonna be able to get away with the hammer. Realty gonna decide that it's not worth it pushing out this mid lane. That was a scary fight for Flourish, but Realty really manages to turn it on its head.
And granted, I don't really think that ends the way Wild Inferno wanted, but that made me feel so good seeing that. They push the Titan down, get the enemy Titan, they nearly get the Fire Giant. Sure enough, Flourish steal the Fire Giant away, but they lose the trade. Their Titan nearly dies, and a Primal Fury going to be their only prize. But now Wild Inferno, we saw it one game last year where a team just teleported and Merc ulted onto the Titan. You can't really do that, but if you're Wild Inferno, you don't necessarily need to worry about the other Phoenixes. The Titan is at a place where you can walk in and you can kill the Titan. You maybe need one pick to set you up a 5v4, and that's about it. Love to see Wild Inferno just no nonsense, march down the map and end this game.
I think with that bomb they might be able to, but it's really going to depend on Duck. Powa can definitely get the Athena in there no problem, but it's a matter of the rest of the team. And I think Duck's the one you really want in there doing the damage. And we really saw Duck throwing huge bombs, his own bombs, into that Titan, right? We saw that thing really melting down. The only thing to be able to stop it was Realty just throwing out those sigils and the Witchfires and the dragon knockups, really saving it for their team. But I don't know what they're going to be able to do with this Titan about half health and Fireman just spilling down the right lane, because now you're forced with a choice. What do you do? How do you defend it? And Wild Inferno just has the entire map to play with.
They do, and right now they're marching down the left side here. They're going to look for that last tier 2 over in left. Going to play it safe rather than sorry. Just kind of try to burn as much off this map as they're able to, kind of negate Flourish's chances of getting back in this game. It's still only a 5,000 lead. For Wild Inferno, which that's a good gold lead, but 15-5, 30 minutes in with a Phoenix down, you'd expect that to be at least 10,000. Flourish this game have done a great job kind of keeping themselves close to even. Might be short-lived though. No more objectives up on the map. It's only going to be the Phoenixes. Wild Inferno just walking away. I don't know what they're waiting for. Possibly on the next Fire Giant, it's going to be enhanced.
I think you're probably trying to wait for Athena to get the Ansile and maybe finish out the build. But one thing they're risking though is I've seen this a whole bunch of times, but it looks like we're gonna have a quick little pause here, and we're not gonna make you watch this. So we'll see you on the desk in a little bit. Ah, here we go. We're right here. Excuse me. But one thing I was gonna say though is we've seen a whole bunch of teams really start running with the game, being really aggressive because they got a big lead. They're a big swinging stick. But as the other team starts getting level 20, right? You know, we love to say you only get to level 20 once. As they start getting the items online, all of a sudden your aggression doesn't really work the way you want to work anymore, because now they're eating more damage than you expected. They're doing more damage than you expected. So I think that's the big issue, and we're going to see if they can manage that issue back in the game. But Wild Inferno, it really depends on whether they can not get stumped by the new damage coming out as Flourish finishes their builds, or if they're going to be respectful of that new damage and new protections.
Now Flourish are going to be in a tough spot where you don't want to contest this Fire Giant. You need to contest the Fire Giant, though. Spawning in just about 30 seconds, so that Phoenix still going to be very, very, very low health once this gets wiped off, just now respawning. Wild Inferno, they know you don't necessarily need the objective. You find a few kills and it might be home free. Almondbutter trying to look for post-drama and is going to draw the bubble, so the Ganesh going to have to be very careful in this next fight. Wild Inferno still looking for something. Scizzy stepping up. Flourish have to be careful.
Wild Inferno baiting out this Fire Giant, which looks like it's going to be a bit free. The only person remotely close is POSTDRAMA. I think if they can pull out what they did last time with Azteck creating doing a bit of a distraction, they'll fine, because you see most of the builds are pretty free. This Fire Giant's dropping, but damage is going to start coming away through Flourish. About 2/3 lost on the Fire Giant. POWAAAAHHHH in the air, looking to cause trouble. They leash it. POWAAAAHHH's coming back down on PeeWee, who's forced to use beads and an ultimate to cover their trail. Wild Inferno is now firmly in the driver's seat as Flourish is being forced back, but I don't know if really leashing the Fire Giant is where they want to go. They want to try to poke him out, but both teams are just doing the Fire Giant dance. Little 1-2 step going on. Wild Inferno opting to pick it back up. I don't know if that's what you want to do. Rushology still got their ultimate. Realty's got their ultimate. PeeWee's is on a short cooldown. Taunt in. POSTDRAMA was stuck in the Fire Giant pit. So much damage coming out. Almondbutter now stuck. Going out. It's not looking good, but the Astral Barrage can't find it. Power falls to PeeWeSpurMan. And now Wild Inferno is on the back foot. Almondbutter getting caught. Lazy packing. The ability of the walls is huge, but PeeWeSpurMan is not able to find the damage and barely able to get out. Heroism providing the little shield that PeeWee needs, but POSTDRAMA is low. Falling down to Scizzy. Athena is back and ready to rumble, baby. And how Flourish is being forced back. The only person falling for Wild Inferno being Powa means fucking Scizzy can really take this Fire Giant. Forcing Flourish to figure out what they want to do. They don't really have much of a front line anymore. PeeWee is kind of the only pseudo front line. Scizzy fall low. PeeWee looking for the ability to dive in the back, but Realty getting caught by Azteck, who's going to force him away. And now this Fire Giant just consistently being leashed. Flourish doing a pretty good job at forcing Wild Inferno not to even take the Fire Giant. But they're going to start looking at the Pyromancer. Rushology looking to try to steal, but here come Azteck, just forcing Rushology away as a consolation prize. Wild Inferno will get the Pyromancer, but they were not able to get the Fire Giant they were looking for.
Luckily for them, Wild Inferno still gonna have a chance. Flourish are still gonna have trouble kind of stepping up in this jungle. Right, Phoenix nearly respawned by now. Oni Fury is up on the other side. Flourish are gonna have opportunities to kind of respond a little bit, even if it's not directly at Fire Giant. Looks like that's going to be the call, though, and Wild Inferno going to be the ones to start another long Fire Giant dance. If I were them, I would want to end this one quickly, though. Like we said, you hit level 21s. The later this game goes, the less it's going to start to favor them, just because Flourish are going to have more of an opportunity to catch up.
It looks like another bubble popped from PostDRAMA by nice placed wall by POWAAAAHHHH. Fire Giant Dance is going to recommit. Everyone looking for their partners. A lot of people looking at PostDRAMA thinking he dances very well, but oh no. Almondbutter gets a taunt, but a bit caught out. Here comes those trap balls we were wanting, but doesn't do enough. And now both teams are going to create more space and just dance around this objective. Who do you think has the advantage in this little dance we see? Who do you think has the initiative and the ability to really kind of take this fight?
I mean, based on positioning alone, it has to be Wild Inferno. They're the ones starting up the Fire Giant. They're the ones with the wards, and now Flourish, the ones that have to respond. Fire Giant at about half.
Fire Giant at half, PeeWee in the wall, but they're forced to leash it again. Wild Inferno doesn't get what they want, and we're stuck in this ever-eternal dance of Wild Inferno picking up the Fire Giant, Flourish forcing them off of it, Wild Inferno a little bit low from taking it, and Flourish suffering a little bit from the engage. Advantage of the wall, not taking damage. PeeWee gets a silence off, but a big taunt coming out. PeeWee's just too low. The dash used, but can't get away. Scizzy finds the kill. PeeWee's no more, but DRkILlxJOY does kill Scizzy. Rushology gets a kill. Realty gets a kill. And now Azteck and Power are the only ones left not able to take this Fire Giant. Azteck's now stuck in the middle of Power, tries with the wall, but it doesn't do much. Azteck got stuck in by the wall, and now Flourish is going to look to pick up this Fire Giant, and their patience is showing that it pays off.
Should be able to get it for basically free as well. Pow now all the way back in base, not going to show up in time to contest at all. Flourish not going to be able to hold it for PeeWee, though. I think that would be a bit of a stretch if they tried it. Might not even get it burnt out before Pow, but no, stopping in a minion camp, trying to get that speed buff, always important to the junglers. Enhanced Fire Giant goes over to Flourish. Wild Inferno, though, still clinging on to a lead.
We're really seeing that PeeWee's utilizing these walls to cause as much chaos as he can. And I think it's amazing because we see PeeWee hopping on the walls, screaming, getting the damage out, and then dashing away. And it's causing this chaos where Wild Inferno started to get irritated by it. Like, you saw it in that last fight. They just wanted PeeWee dead. They were tired of the poke. They were tired of the screaming, tired of the traps. And that forced Scizzy to dive in. Scizzy got the kill. No more PeeWee, but then Scizzy got killed. Then there was another follow-up kill. Realty got a kill. And then all of a sudden, almondbutter dropped. Duck dropped. And we see that Scizzy's causing... Or not Scizzy. PeeWee's causing these issues that Wild Inferno just want to get done with. They're like, you gotta kill him. They use so much to kill him that they don't have anything left for the rest of the team, or they put themselves in such a bad situation. So PeeWee's showing that despite not really having too much damage and might not be as tanky as a warrior, just tanky enough and does just enough damage to be that thorn in Wild Inferno's side.
Now, for the first time this game, Flourish might have a momentary advantage. Enhanced Fire Giant, Oni Waves only down 1,000 gold. Gonna have a Runic Bomb in pocket as well. Wild Inferno all grouping up against their tower lines. Probably thinking, where did it go wrong? Nearly had the game over, had the Titan below a third HP. And now they're going to be the ones forced on the defense. All the members of Flourish, except for PeeWeSpurMan here, on the right-hand side of the map, as tower teleport, so could be over at a moment's notice. Wild Inferno are waiting in mid. They don't know where they are, and now going to see them. Flourish are going to have to be faced with a tough choice. Do they go for a Phoenix fight? Do they risk this lead they've worked so hard to get? Or are they going to just wait it out?
And this is what I was talking about before, is that now Wild Inferno's allowed Flourish to come back. And I think the Fire Giant pulls are appropriate, but there's a certain point when you have to be, alright, we can't pull it anymore, because they just keep poking us out and we keep dropping it. So we have to come up with a different plan, right? When you want to pull a Fire Giant, it's not necessarily the objective to kill the Fire Giant, I feel. When you pull Fire Giant, you make a Fire Giant call, you're trying to change the game state. Maybe that is in the form of getting yourself that Fire Giant. Or it's forcing the other team to be a bit too aggressive and then killing them so then you can just win the game. Or let them take it, but then take advantage that they're so low and then do that. I don't always think a Fire Giant call has to result in your team getting the Fire Giant, but I do think it has to result in a positive, a change of game state in a positive way for your team. And I don't really think Wild Inferno was able to execute that. They kept pulling it, but they wouldn't really do anything. They're waiting for Flourish to really engage, and I think they suffered from that.
Now Flourish going to be the ones knocking on the door yet again. Wild Inferno trying to force him back. The Ganesh already taken a small amount of damage. If you're Wild Inferno, you gotta wonder, are they going to step out or are they just going to wait? Ganesh is low, but with Enhanced Fire Giant, they're going to be back up to full HP soon. There they go out a little bit in this left lane, but they're still split. They're Ivana giving them troubles in mid.
PeeWeSpurMan continuing to be the thorn that is in Wild Inferno's side. Using those walls to the advantage of the immunity CC and damage. And we just see that it's causing so many problems for Wild Inferno. They can't easily deal with those traps that are being set, because they cross that threshold, that wall, they're going to get in trouble. But I do believe time is on Wild Inferno's side. You're waiting for that Fire Giant to blow over. You don't want them just walking into the Phoenix and taking it, right? The backdoor protections that buff shreds. So I think Wild Inferno's doing a really good job, and Flourish is being just a bit too passive with this Fire Giant of theirs. One thing they don't have is bombs, so we see 2 bombs in the way of Wild Inferno, so maybe that's what's kind of causing Flourish to hesitate a bit, but I think they got their towers, which is fine, but maybe you might want to take advantage of it, because you don't know. I don't think risking the game on the next Fire Giant is exactly the best way to do it. I think you want to set yourself up for the best opportunity. If they took that duo Phoenix, they really set themselves up for a very safe and very advantageous Fire Giant, to say the least.
Now Wild Inferno gonna have a chance to step out of their base for the first time this match, for the first time for the last few minutes, not the match. They've certainly been out and about. So now both teams are gonna meet by the Fire Giant, spawning now in 10 seconds. And once again, just like their Phoenix Siege, Flourish might be relinquishing a little bit too much, and Realty might be caught out of position.
Beads and Ages burned on Realty, but Azteck is now hopping in. Ultimate used as well, but not enough. Azteck does kill Realty. Killjoy low. So is Rushology. POWAAAAHHHH jumps in. Stun on PeeWee. Hammer and then a bop to finish off Killjoy. SpurMan now forced to choose between Azteck and POWAAAAHHH. Chooses neither. PostDRAMA is now caught out. Dropping low. Scizzy gets the kill. And now it's only Rushology and PeeWee. There's no Realty to really bail them out. This time, looks like with those bombs that Phoenix is going to fall rather quickly, both being opted to be used. What a huge turnaround and engage for Wild Inferno. This Titan's not long for this world, trying to put up a defense like last time. PeeWeSpurMan's fighting it out. Silence and the Banshee release. Rushology getting caught, looking for the safety of the Phoenix, but falls to Azteck. SpurMan trying to get the kill on Duck, secures the kill on Duck, but I don't think it's enough. Minions are in there, and it's just too much damage going out for this Titan. Wild Inferno shows that they will not be put out. They will grow into a raging Inferno as they finish Game 2 and come out with a victory. I gotta say, what a set. For a 2-game set, that was very impressive from both teams. You really saw the potential from Flourish in that Game 2. I don't think that Game 1 was indicative of who they were and what they could do, but that Game 2 was definitely more showing of how well of a team they could really work together. And I also think that kind of shows a bit of a weakness in Wild Inferno's armor, because it shows that if you can stall them out just a little bit, you have a chance to come back. They might not know really how to end a game in some circumstances. So I think that's something, if you're looking at Wild Inferno, you might want to start taking advantage of. But if you're looking at Flourish, I think the one thing you want to take away is try to split them up.
Absolutely, and Flourish with a much better Game 2 here, and it's not the end they expect on the side of Wild Inferno. but the end result is the same, and both teams, like you said, showing holes in the armor, showing moments of resilience. It's a really strong showing, though, overall, from both teams. PeeWeSpurMan does get some wards down this game, and high damage as well, 27,000 from the Kalina. I might have been skeptical, but did very, very well in that game, but not enough to stop Wild Inferno as they're going to move into Week 5 with the win, and the whole team looking very, very strong.
I feel like the Kalina was utilized very well, especially with the poke, but it just seemed like it wasn't enough. It was enough to engage and cause that Wild Inferno to make mistakes, but they recovered easily from that. Like, all right, well, the Kalina doesn't do that much damage. You can't kill it easily, especially how slippery she is and how much she can heal up. So let's find a different target, and that's what they found in Realty. You just saw Realty get caught, had to use beads, Aegis, ultimate, and didn't save them. And Azteck just jumped in and got the slams out, and that's just what made the whole thing start to unravel. PeeWee forced to choose between POWAAAAAHHHH and Azteck and just couldn't seem to make a decision quick enough. And Wild Inferno just take advantage of the chaos that they were able to cause and really cinch in this game too.
Very good team comp, very good plays, and although at the end we saw Flourish start to come back, but Wild Inferno shut the door, and I really thought we were going to see a pentakill today. Realty got so close on
I
that
thought
base
so
defense.
too. I thought so too, but when you saw Power really making the distance, you're like, nah, Morgan Le Fay can't catch up to Thor.
Thor is just too fast, but like you said, a great set and one we've been happy to cover.
All right, thank you for joining us for this game. I've been Gearchief, and with me has been KingFsher. We've had iNooblet on camera, and thank you for joining us. We hope to see you next time.